In the vast shonen scene, few characters rise to the level of modern day icons as quickly as Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen and Izuku Midoriya. Both young heroes have faced overwhelming odds, yet their unwavering resolve and growing powers have pushed them to the forefront of their respective verses. While originating from different worlds, they share a common thread, and that is to protect others and grow stronger against the opposition. But what if these two were to face off in an epic showdown? In this matchup, we will dive into their strength, abilities, and sheer willpower. And then we get to break down how they stack up against each other. Will the cursed energy of Itadori's Sukuna enhanced skills overpower Midoriya's one-for-all quirk? Or will Deku's relentless determination and evolving techniques prove too much to the vessel of King of Curses? But before that, be sure to subscribe and like the video to support the channel please, so we can reach more audience and thus we can kickstart our Discord server. I have been in a slump lately, but we are so back, so be sure to check out more if you like this one. I appreciate it greatly, thank you. Now, Yuji Itadori has been quite literally the icon of shonen in recent chapters in JJK. Despite all the Sukuna plot armor, it seems our boy is finally in his element, and personally I am loving that. Now, I did a pre-Shibuya arc Yuji matchup before, so it's only fair to see how the current Yuji pair up against a powerhouse like Deku. Starting off with his AP, if we take into consideration 15 finger Sukuna fire arrow feat, which was calced to small city level of AP, with that being said, Yuji was shown keeping up with Yura and Maki, who are relative to that. It's only safe to put him up there, especially since we don't know the ceiling of his power up yet. He is still going through his awakening, but Yuji being relative to all the heavy hitters of Jujutsu Kaisen like Yura, who bodied Ryu in a 1v2 who scales to large town level due to his granite blast that was calced to 1.72 kilotons. Considering that all of them are far superior than Ryu now, I think it's safe to put Yuji in a relative level of AP of that of small city level. Moving on to his speed, there are quite contentious speed feats in JJK, but for the sake of the matchup we will rank him up a little bit, cause there are a couple speed metas in JJK. First one, Sukuna being faster than light due to dodging Kashimo magnetic waves. Keep in mind it's pretty FE feat, Sukuna most likely pre-aim dodged that, or at least he perceived the attack coming since he already noticed Kashimo's movements. I personally don't agree with it, I found it pretty inconsistent so far. The second point is the Hakari dodging lightning feat, which was calced to massively hypersonic. While it's pretty weird feat in itself considering the angle, it's still safe to assume all JJK heavy hitters operate around massively hypersonic. Also, considering the statement where Megumi compared Prime Toji to 3-finger Sukuna in terms of speed, I found it pretty hilarious, cause then that would mean a full power Sukuna is 7 times faster than Toji and all the characters relative to him, which puts him in a massively hypersonic plus speed. That is indeed if you choose to believe that more fingers mean more speed and not just power. But for me, Yuji being massively hypersonic now is not far from the truth, considering he is keeping up with the Heian era Sukuna despite all the damage both these monsters took. And also for the sake of this matchup, of course. Lastly, Yuji Itadori possesses remarkable hand-to-hand combat experience, accompanied with his curse techniques like Shrine. Even though it's still awakening, the slashes are not that sharp to be lethal, but they still prove to be useful in combat. Next up we have Piercing Blood, and also revert curse technique that allows him to regenerate any limb or any part of his body after taking damage. With that being said, how do you think our brother Yuji will take down the greatest hero of all time, Deku? Despite the mixed reviews on Boku no Hero Academia, I still overall think it's a worthy reading session. The last war arc, as much as there were weird events, it had really good moments as well, rendering me full of emotions, and overall it was really good series in general. I don't like the fact that Deku ended up as a Popeye's employee. In fact, I honestly believe Shigaraki should have transferred all the quirks back to him before vanishing. That would have been a perfectly fine ending in my opinion, making him possess all for one and one for all both at the same time. But that's just my opinion, what do you guys think? Anyways, let's get into it, and how would he scale up against Yuji? Starting off with his AP. So when it comes to AP, I would say he scales to large country level, though if we rank him he would be around continental. That being due to the fact he defeated Shigaraki, who had his quirk activated and still was compared on many occasions to Prime All Might. In other words, a nerfed version of him is comparable to the same All Might who said his punch used to be 60 times stronger. The same punch that was calced to large island level, which means Prime All Might punch was country level or 52.65 teratons of TNT. So that puts Deku to large country level of AP and likely higher since he is stronger than both Shigaraki and Prime All Might. Also, it's important to note that we do not use any feats from the movie since it's not canon. With that out of the way, how does he perform speed wise? For context, a weakened All Might speed is stated to be massively hypersonic due to the fact he crossed 5 kilometers in 30 seconds while also defeating the numerous Nomos on his way. And Shigaraki is said to be as fast as Prime All Might, so he should be above that. We also have to take into consideration the fact that Star on Stripes dodged radio shock waves and reacted to point-blank lasers, which are all close to faster than light. All electromagnetic waves, including radio waves, move at the same speed of light, which should put her to relativistic speed, and Prime Form Shigaraki obviously scales way higher than that. And since Deku is relative to Shigaraki, if not higher, since he blitzed him using his quirk gear shift to the point he could not process what was going on. And that puts him to faster than light plus speed. Lastly, we will go over Deku's quirks one for all, a quirk that nurtures its past owner's original quirk and enhances them with each generation, meaning that the more generations pass on, the stronger it gets. Aside from all his Super Smash Bros attacks, starting off with his strongest quirk in my opinion, that is Gear Shift. He is capable of altering the speed of anything he touches and make the target's speed much slower than normal with low gear. Gear shifts allow him to change the speed while ignoring the laws of inertia. The pure sheer might of One for All combined with Gear Shift has the power to warp laws of governing reality, which I don't quite understand how it really can warp reality, but I think the panel explains the potential of this quirk, which is used to enhance speed essentially. Next up we have Black Whip, a quirk that is able to pull up at his tendons and muscles to force his body to move even when he's severely injured and immobilized, in a form that is called Overlay. Next we have Fajin, a quirk that gives Deku the ability to temporarily store kinetic energy from repeated movements and then release the energy as a powerful burst. Next we have Danger Sense. This quirk allows Deku to detect the hostility and bloodlust nearby. He can dodge attacks or be alerted to a threat before it could even reach him, without mentioning Float and Smoke Screen. Deku can use and operate around his quirks perfectly and use them to his advantage like no other user, which makes him a formidable fighter to say the least. So will he really take down Yuji considering the difference in hacks and power? Stick around and find out. As usual, before we state who is the favorite, we have to address and emphasize how each individual can win. Now let's look at it from Yuji's favorable options to win. Despite being inferior in terms of stats, his hacks however are his win con. You see, Yuji's punches prove to be real nuisance even to the king of the Heian era, Ryomen Sukuna. It can alter the spirit of the target and his energy manipulation, which in a sense, if it lands on Deku, it will really be hard for him to use his quirks efficiently, if we consider they are presented as souls of the previous owners. Since we know if Yuji lands one Black Flash, he can go for more, and if that is not enough to take down his opponent, there is still his most efficient win con, and that is his hacks ability Domain Expansion. Now we don't know what his domain can do exactly, but let's say for example his domain can actually alter the souls too, since he got to communicate with Megumi, adding to the shallow slashes, which is obviously due to Yuji's technique being newly awakened. So in conclusion, if Yuji can really alter the opponent's spirit, since he said he could kill Sukuna anytime he wants, but did not do it because Megumi is still out there, then I think Deku have no answer to that, since it means he won't be able to be in the best shape to counter the slashes, and that will be it. But on the other hand, that could be just an inner domain talk, something we have seen in JJK often, so it depends on how you really understand the plot. As for Deku, all he has to do is basically finish Yuji off before the domain, since he outstats him in both speed and power, though it will be tough considering Yuji can just regenerate his limbs, since Deku's attacks can damage the likes of Shigaraki to the point of destroying their body. In other words, Deku needs to go for the head before the domain. Even if he uses Danger Sense and anticipate the domain, noticing something is off with Yuji's hands and cut them before it happened, Yuji will just catch him off guard with regenerating them and cast it over again. So in other words, if they go for hand-to-hand combat first, Yuji gets overwhelmed to the point of using reverse curse technique before he even tries to cast the domain, then I think Deku will have an idea how to stop it, considering he would have witnessed Yuji's arms regenerating, thus pushing him to go for the head and end it before the domain is casted. Even if he got caught in the domain and we assume it does not alter his soul or energy control with that inner domain stuff, then finishing off Yuji inside the domain is very possible, considering how shallow were the slashes on a weakened Sukuna. Assuming he was not using domain amplification or new shadow style, then Deku can tank them long enough to end him. Though it's important to note, it really depends on how you intercept the story and how both characters would interact with each other. It can go both ways, they both have a winning factor, but for me I think potentially Yuji have a solid chance, considering the way his domain is operated. If he cast it first hand, assuming he can really damage the soul too since he got to communicate with the Megumi, then Deku have no answer to that really. But if that's not the case, then for sure it will go for Midoriya. But overall, as much as I try to be informative and not mislead my viewers, I still make these videos for you guys, so please let me know what do you think and who is the favorite in your opinion based on these chain of events. As I conclude the video, if you really enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe to support the channel. Also, please check my other content as I keep making more. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Peace.